There's a common saying in church that I hear very often, and it's when someone says, I don't look like what I've been through. And I've heard that so many times over the years. And every time I'm in service and I hear someone get up in the mic and they say it, everyone gets excited and begins to rejoice and even dance in excitement at this individual expressing that they've been through so much, but you cannot see it reflecting on them because God has brought them out. And it just made me think about, what about the times when you feel like you do look like it? When you feel like you look and feel like every bit of what you're dealing with. You're feeling the ridicule. You're feeling the judgment as to why you're going through what you're going through. You're feeling the criticism because people want to offer their opinions as to how you should or could get out of it, or why you got there in the first place. You're feeling it. You're looking like it. And I just want to tell you that when you're going through moments like that, remember that you're not the only one. You're not alone. This is not the first time somebody's been through something trying. And I'm reminded of Job. In the book of Job, we're given the story of how Job endured so much, but he did not lose his faith. He had to deal with losing his loved ones, losing his wealth, and then on top of that, his health was tried. And by the time he got to that point where his health was tried, he started even looking really rough. It says that he had boils all over him from head to toe, and he was in agony, in discomfort. And he got to the point where even he felt like just giving up on life. It says he didn't want to live anymore. He begged for death. And his friends even came to see him, and he looked so awful to the point where he was unrecognizable to his friends. And they sat there with him and visited with him, just thinking and reasoning among themselves, what do we do about this? What should we say to him or for him? And we go through things like that, where we get into situations in life where we think to ourselves, for one, how did I get here? And for two, what's got to be done to get me out of it? And Job went through this suffering for a little while. It doesn't give us an exact timing, but it focuses a lot on the fact that it was for quite a while, years even, before he was able to be fully restored. But the important thing that I learned from the story of Job is that he didn't lose his faith. And I'm not talking about just the faith that's based on believing, but the faith that understands that God is God no matter what you are dealing with. And that was what was so powerful about Job, was that he didn't lose his faith in the fact that he served a sovereign God. A sovereign God, meaning that he understood that God was the one who brought him here and that God gave him everything that he had. And if God saw fit to allow him to lose, or if God saw fit for him to suffer, or whatever it is that he was dealing with, he felt within himself that he still owed it to God to trust him, to honor him, to reverence him, even when others were saying to give up. And so I encourage you today, because I understand that there's so many different things that we go through as a believer. When we make that decree, that statement in our life and say, I trust God, I believe God, I am a woman or a man of faith, and I live by that principle. Sometimes it feels like we think we're going through more than other people. And we say to ourselves, well, how is this even possible when I trust God? But understand this, the thing that I also see at the end of this, when I read through all the way to chapter 42, in this process, not only was Job restored, but God, when we belong to God, we go through things and we don't always understand why. But when we see on the other side of it, God allows us to be a blessing to somebody else within the things that we're dealing with. And are we willing? Are you willing as a believer? Are you willing as a woman or a man of God? Are you willing to go through and be tried so that you can be stronger and better when you come out. It says that the latter end of his life was blessed even more blessed for the little time of suffering that he had to go through. Sometimes we don't understand what's happening, what's the bigger picture behind what we're dealing with or what we go through. And when we go to church and we worship and we assemble ourselves with others, it can be very difficult because we get caught up in the cliche and the things that people say and jump and get excited. And it may cause us to feel like, well, if I'm not feeling that, if I'm not hyped up and excited, there must be something wrong in my life. But we all go through trying times. But we have to continue to trust God, continue to stand with him, believing and knowing that he is God. And with that being said, you can't place the timing, you can't place the exact moment that he's going to come through. Only he knows that. Only he knows when shift is coming, when change is coming. But we hold on and see it through. Hold on and trust him and know that better is at the end of whatever you're going through.